To get my mom off my back about marriage, I rushed to the high-speed rail station and randomly yelled, "Husband!" And a handsome soldier actually turned his head. Not only did he obediently get in the car with me, he even agreed to pretend to be my boyfriend and meet my folks. But when he took off his uniform and that familiar face appeared, I realized he was the chubby kid I'd once framed when we were little. He pinched my chin and chuckled. "For taking the fall for you back then, it's time you paid me back with interest." I found my boyfriend at the high-speed rail station. A whole crowd of guys just out of the service, all in sharp suits, all crisp and commanding. I shouted "husband" into the crowd, and the guy at the front turned to look at me. I strode over, grinning like a suck-up. "I'm here to take you home. Let's get in the car." I ignored the mix of alarm and suspicion on his face, grabbed his bag, and marched ahead. My bestie Julia, who came with me, stared wide-eyed. "Are you out of your mind?" I wasn't. My mum was about to be. She'd said if I didn't bring a boyfriend home this year, I could pack my things and get out. To be fair to my mum, 3 years ago at a family dinner, she scolded me in front of all the relatives for not having a boyfriend. I couldn't stand the way she clutched her chest and swallowed her anger. So I tossed down my chopsticks and said, "Who says I don't have one? I've had one for ages." I just didn't say anything. My mum, honestly, did I not have any pride? She kept trumpeting that no man wanted me. The next 2 years, I deeply regretted that one impulsive brag. She wouldn't stop asking where my boyfriend was from, what his job was, what we talked about, what kind of person he was. At first, I played shy and dodged the questions. But after a while, she smelled something off. "Isabel, are you lying to your own mother?" She stood by my bed with a feather duster. I had no way out, so I grit my teeth and said my boyfriend was a soldier and he couldn't use his phone much. That got her to put down the feather duster, but she still wasn't fully convinced. To make her believe me, every month I spent an hour talking to a black phone screen like I was really on a call. Just as I was about to tell her we'd amicably broken up, she was already bragging at the dinner table about her wonderful son-in-law in the army. I had no choice but to swallow my pride. I checked the dates, grabbed my bestie, and headed straight to the high-speed rail station. "What are we even doing here?" Julia asked as she shut the car door, totally baffled. "Looking for my future husband," I said, dead serious. "Why would your husband be at the rail station? He's getting discharged today." "Huh? Weren't you lying to your mom? You actually found yourself a soldier boyfriend?" "Yup." After pretending this long, I was almost convincing myself. I told the driver to wait for us. When Julia and I stood at the station entrance, a line of guys with bags came out, an absolute sight to behold. Turns out all the handsome ones really do get handed over to the country. "Belle, which one's your boyfriend?" Julia nudged me. "Working on it. So many options my eyes are crossing." I lifted my chin and squinted like a hunter sure of her prey. "What are you talking about?" "I've got it. I'm gonna go up and yell 'husband,' and whoever answers is the one." "You're serious?" I shook off her hand and made straight for the doors. "Husband," loud and clear, with full confidence. A guy up front, clutching his ID, stared at me in confusion, and everyone nearby stared too. I smoothed my hair and shot him my most ingratiating smile. "Me?" He looked around, then hesitantly pointed at himself with his ID. "Yeah, you. I'm here to take you home." I stepped up, grabbed his bag, and headed out. When I glanced back, Julia's jaw was practically on the floor. Everything went shockingly smoothly. The hottie actually got in the car with me. I pulled him into the back seat. Before you could say boo, tears flooded my eyes. "Look, I know you guys are the people's heroes," I said, dabbing theatrically at my cheeks. "I've got a problem, and I really need help. If you don't help me, I'm done for." "Boo-hoo." I hid my face and sobbed, peeking through my fingers at the handsome guy sitting ramrod straight. He pulled a tissue from his bag and handed it over. "Don't cry. Tell me what's going on." I sniffled and pushed my luck. "So you're willing to help me?" "Help with what?" His Adam's apple bobbed. That deep, steady voice only made me more certain. Be my boyfriend. He arched a brow, pretty sure the corner of his mouth twitched. I waved my hands fast. No, no, pretend. Pretend. Long story short, and I'll keep it short. After my whole spiel, the crease between his brows gradually eased. I pounced. If you don't say anything, I'm taking that as a yes. He gave the slightest nod. I lit up, tears gone, and even saluted him. Thank you, brave soldier of our great nation. Then I waved to the driver. Driver, let's roll Emerald Garden, please. In the elevator, I clung to his arm and briefed him carefully. My name's Isabel. I'm 25, 5'3", 90 pounds. I love spicy food. I'm not picky. Very low maintenance. Hobby, scrolling on my phone. Special skill, muddling through. Honest and trustworthy, this is my first time lying. He blinked for a couple seconds, then let out a helpless laugh. I gasped softly, momentarily dazed. His smile could outshine the celebrity on the billboard behind him. Forcing myself to focus, I dragged him to my front door. Just before knocking, I gave him one last warning. Heads up, I'm terrified of my mum. He curved his lips in an easy smile, instantly understanding. Got it. After a quick knock, my mum opened the door, apron on, spatula in hand. I silently thanked the handsome stranger beside me. If he hadn't agreed to help, that spatula would have landed on my head by now. Oh my, you must be Belle's boyfriend. Auntie's been waiting forever for you to come eat. My mum fussed with her skirt, putting on airs. Hello, ma'am. His voice was deep and steady, the kind of commanding tone you'd expect from the army. It stunned my mom into instant submission. Come in, come in. The suspicion in her eyes finally vanished. That come in felt like a royal pardon. I exhaled in relief, carried his luggage inside, and found him a pair of slippers. My mum emerged from the kitchen with a plate of food. Oh, our Belle is such a shy girl. Been hiding her boyfriend all this time and wouldn't even tell me your name. He took off his jacket with effortless grace. Ma'am, my name is Jason Smith. Just call me Jason. Oh, Jason, what a lovely name. Wash up and come eat. Ever since he'd stepped through the door, my mum hadn't stopped talking. Belle, where's the bathroom? Jason turned his head, eyes polite but curious. Oh, I'll show you. I blinked, surprised he even called me Belle. Guess he was really getting into character and I'd randomly picked a pretty high-quality actor. That's the hand soap. I pointed at the bottle on the counter. You go first. Our eyes met in the mirror. His were long and narrow, the corners slightly upturned. Despite the gentle double eyelids, there was an undercurrent of authority in his clear gaze. I obediently lowered my head to wash my hands, and when I turned around, I nearly walked right into his chest. He was wearing a fitted shirt, the fabric stretching lightly across his chest. I clenched my fists, suppressing the dangerous urge to poke at those muscles. The man was trained I'd probably end up flat on my back if I tried anything. Sorry. Jason looked down, voice soft, stepping aside to let me pass. That sudden gentleness caught me off guard. The shift in energy, that quiet intensity, the rush of pheromones. I practically held my breath and fled. Get a grip, Isabel. Who's the hunter here? Jason, from your accent, you must be local too? My mum said as she piled more meat into his bowl. Yes, ma'am. Jason looked at the little mountain of food with polite despair. Mum, stop it. He can't eat all that. I jumped in to save him. What do you know? Jason, eat more. I shot him an apologetic look that screamed, I tried. So, Jason, where's your family from? Don't mind me asking, Belle here never tells me anything. Ma'am, I live in the neighborhood next door. I froze. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have wasted my time going all the way to the train station. Oh, what a coincidence. And Belle never mentioned it. My mum glared at me. So, how did you two meet? Walking the dog. We met walking our dogs. Mum, stop asking. I cut her off before he could open his mouth. He looked way too honest to pull off a lie. After dinner, Mum still wanted him to stay longer, but I stopped her. Mum, let him go rest. He just got back. Oh, Jason. Sorry, Auntie's memory's slipping, forgot you just got back today. Go on, Belle, walk him out. I rolled my eyes. My mum looked like she wanted to eat him alive. Jason stood, straightened his shirt, rolled his sleeves down. His long, elegant fingers worked the buttons, and my heart beat along with them. If only he really were my boyfriend. Then I'll head out, ma'am. Jason grabbed his jacket and walked toward the door. I swallowed my drool and scurried after him. As the elevator doors closed, I exhaled in gratitude. Thank you so much for today. Without you, I wouldn't have survived this. He'd practically saved my life. No need to thank me, I got a free meal out of it. His tall frame towered over me. When I looked up, his jawline was sharp enough to cut glass. Hope I didn't scare you today? I teased, knowing full well my shout of husband probably outblasted any military drill command. It's fine. In the army, you never see anything this entertaining. I stuck out my tongue, catching the hint of humor in his tone. As we walked through the community, the old folks downstairs stared like we were a TV drama. Well, walking beside a handsome soldier would make anyone curious. You don't have to walk me. It's just a few steps. All right. Take care. I almost saluted. I watched Jason walk away. Polished shoes, long legs, trim waist, broad shoulders, and a very, very nice backside. Damn, I wanted to claim that. On my way back, the cluster of elderly neighbors called out to me. Belle, come here. I turned to see Aunt Emily waving. Hi, Auntie. I trotted over. Belle, that was your boyfriend, right? I blinked. Honestly, it wasn't their fault for gossiping. It was my mum's fault for bragging about me during mahjong. Yeah. Sorry, Jason. I was stuck now. The aunties and uncles were clearly not letting me go without confirmation. After a whole round of tug-of-war, from the park bench to the grocery corner, they finally let me escape. When I got home, Mom had just finished the dishes. Thanks to Jason, she was now all soft smiles. She spent the rest of the night praising my taste in men, which only made me feel guiltier. I grabbed some clothes and bolted for the shower. With my eyes closed under the spray, all I could see was Jason's face. When I came out, toweling off, I heard my mom on the phone in the living room, and every third word was Jason. Great. If I didn't actually make him my boyfriend, she'd peel me alive. Nighttime makes people reckless. I closed the curtains, lay back, and let my mind build a whole love story between me and Jason. Just as I was drifting off, a jolt ran through my brain. I sat up straight. Holy crap, I never asked for his contact info. I'd really screwed up this time. I was so frustrated, I couldn't even eat the nice breakfast my mom had made. You going to see Jason today? She asked, eyes sparkling. Yeah, I lied. Where was I supposed to find him? I couldn't just plaster missing soldier boyfriend posters around the neighborhood. Then put on some makeup. Jason looked so neat and sharp yesterday. Okay. I went out anyway, though not to look for him. I didn't even know what the next neighborhood looked like. What was I supposed to do? Buy a loudspeaker and stand there yelling, "Husband, husband, husband." The handsome guy had slipped through my fingers. I spent half the day at Julia's, explaining everything in detail. You idiot, she groaned. How could you not get his contact info? She was more worked up than I was. You think I didn't want to? What do I do now? If you don't find him, you can forget about ever going home. My mom's furious face flashed through my mind. Nothing on earth could save me now, except Jason. Julia and I just stared at each other, completely stumped. Finally, I got up and headed out. Before heading back home, I grabbed some KFC. But without the handsome guy, even the spicy chicken lost its flavor. I couldn't bring myself to go upstairs yet, so I wandered into the gazebo inside the complex and sat on a stone bench, nibbling on my crispy chicken with a lump in my throat. I'd barely taken 2 bites when a loud noise erupted behind me. Woof! Woof, woof! My hand jerked, and before I could react, a fluffy samoyed leapt onto me, its paws on my lap, snatching my chicken right out of my hand. Could this day get any worse? Hey, bad dog! Where do you think you're going? You just ran into your grandpa's gun barrel today. I tossed the rest of my food aside and chased after it. Give me back my chicken! But 2 legs can't beat 4. After a few loops around the gazebo, the dog bolted off with my entire KFC bag. I collapsed on the ground, panting, watching it run until it stopped in front of someone. I looked closer and froze. My soldier boy! Talk about finding a needle in a haystack. What a good dog. Jason picked up the leash from the ground and started walking toward me. He wore a loose black t-shirt that somehow didn't make him look lazy. If anything, he looked like a refined nobleman. He stopped in front of me, and I had to tilt my head back to look at him. The sunset behind him caught in his hair, haloing his face. He reached out a hand, like some untouched god descending from the heavens. Woof! The dog barked, shattering the moment. I laughed awkwardly and got up on my own. My hands were greasy anyway. I couldn't bring myself to stain a god. If I'd known I'd run into him today, I'd have listened to Mom and put on makeup. Regret. You okay? Jason asked, concern soft in his eyes. I'm fine. Is this your dog? I pointed at the culprit. Yeah. His name's Buddy. Just taking him out for a walk. How'd you end up in our complex? I asked curiously. Buddy's friend lives here. We came to find his friend, but no luck today. Wow. Even the dog had friends, and I still didn't have a boyfriend. Buddy's adorable. I leaned over to pat his head, but he bared his teeth, ready to bite me. Guess he could tell I didn't have pure intentions toward his owner. Your KFC, Jason said, glancing at the plastic bag on the ground, rubbing his nose with an amused sigh. It's fine. Buddy's cute. He can have it all. I swear I heard Buddy let out a disdainful little whine. Ahem. Well, if I wanted to win over his owner, I had to win over the dog first. Next time, I'll treat you to KFC, Jason said with a teasing curve of his lips that made my heart itch. KFC? Forget that I'd rather eat him. Deal. I blinked at him expectantly, waiting for him to say when. Now would be great, but Jason didn't seem to catch my drift. I suddenly remembered the important thing. Oh, right. We never exchanged contacts. Why don't we add each other on WeChat? Easier to reach you next time. I quickly pulled out my phone and held it out like an obedient puppy. Beep! Scan successful, mission accomplished. Jason walked off with Buddy, who turned back to glare at me twice before leaving. Tisk. The more I looked, the more I liked that dog. Humming happily, I went home, took a long shower, and ran into my mom coming back from Mahjong, looking miserable. Rough day, Mom? I asked, toweling my hair. Terrible luck today. She pulled out a few crumpled bills and counted them. Those women were jealous when they heard my son-in-law's a soldier. Said their sons are soldiers too, and I shouldn't be bragging about a man who isn't even officially engaged to my daughter yet. Can I blame them? Honestly, Mom, you were bragging too hard, though I didn't dare say it out loud. Isabel, if you don't hurry up and marry Jason, or at least date him properly, I'll smack you myself. Got it. Oh, I'd love to marry him. After drying my hair, I lay on the bed and happily opened Jason's Moments completely empty. Perfect. I liked that. No one could stalk his life. But how was I supposed to ask him out for KFC again, without sounding greedy? After thinking it over, I decided to post a moment, craving KFC again. Sure enough, Jason messaged me soon after. When are you free? I'll take you. I'm always free. Then tomorrow. Okay. Sleep early. Good night. Good night. Ah, I kicked my blanket, overwhelmed by sudden happiness. I couldn't sleep. I tore through my closet, tried on a few outfits, and finally settled on a beige dress. Gentle, elegant, but not too formal. I drifted to sleep, smiling. In my dream, Jason lifted his shirt, grabbed my hand, and told me to touch his abs. I did and immediately had a nosebleed. The next morning, I woke early and spent over an hour at my vanity. I even unwrapped the agiosal pen my best friend gave me. Though I had no idea how to use it, I just scribbled a few strokes anyway. If I'd had more time, I'd have glued on a full set of fake lashes. My phone buzzed. "I'm here," Jason texted. "What do you want to eat?" "I'll order first." "Anything's fine. I'm on my way." I brushed on some blush, grabbed my bag, and hurried out. Luckily, the KFC was right across the street. As soon as I walked in, I spotted Jason by the window. There's just something different about a man who's been in the army. You can pick him out instantly in a crowd. A few girls nearby were eyeing him like hawks, practically drooling. I cleared my throat, straightened up, and walked over with a confident smile. "I'm here. You've been waiting long?" I said loudly enough for them to hear. Jason looked up with a soft smile. "Not long." He glanced at the screen. "I'll grab the food." When he came back with the tray, for a second I felt like I was in a fancy restaurant. The tray was piled high. Did he think I was a bottomless pit? Because he'd once seen me fight a dog over fried chicken? I didn't know what you liked, so I got a bit of everything. His lips tilted in a subtle smile, his eyes warm and tender. God, that gaze could melt anyone. "It's fine. I love it all." I was good at giving people face, especially when the face was this handsome. I grabbed a piece of crispy chicken and started munching like it was a competition. By the time only 2 spicy wings were left, I realized Jason hadn't eaten much. I looked up and met his eyes. You're not eating?" He didn't answer. Instead, he took a napkin, leaned over, and gently wiped the corner of my mouth. "I ate a bit. I don't usually eat this stuff." "Then why today?" "Because you made it look appetizing." His quiet smile was dazzling. When he was serious, he looked cold and distant, but when he smiled, he was brighter than the Milky Way. I had to admit, I might have kidnapped him first, but now he'd stolen my heart without even asking. But then he pointed at my face, hesitant. You've got something under your eye." "Huh?" I whipped out my compact mirror. It was my agiosal makeup, champagne and brown shimmer blended together to look exactly like eye gunk. I quickly took the tissue he offered and wiped it off. Thank God he didn't say it out loud. Honestly, going to KFC with Jason was a mistake. There's a saying, beauty can be food. But with him sitting across from me, I couldn't even lift my fork properly. I drowned my fluster in food and ended up overeating. On my way back, I felt so bloated, I thought a walk might help, but even at home I was still stuffed. Lying in bed, miserable. I wanted comfort. I grabbed my phone and texted Jason. "I think I overate. My stomach really hurts. Do you have any digestive pills? Take some if you do." "I don't think so." "Then hang on, I'll be right there." "Okay." I clutched my stomach, waiting. Before long, the doorbell rang. Of course, soldier speed. My hands trembled as I opened the door and met Jason's concerned eyes. "Here, take this first," he said, steadying me as I nearly fell. "Thanks." I took the medicine and was about to go to the kitchen for water, but he pressed me down onto the sofa. "Sit. I'll get it." That tone, did he think I was some new recruit in his unit? Before I could even react, Jason was already striding toward the kitchen. "Be good. Take the medicine." His voice was low, rough with concern, and just a hint of tenderness. Honestly, I wouldn't mind overeating again if this was the result. He held the glass to my lips, the water perfectly warm. "Here, drink a little first." I obediently swallowed. He quickly tore open the package, pinched out 2 tablets, and held them to my mouth. "Open up." Sure, I'd overeaten, not broken my hands, but damn, I was enjoying this. After I swallowed the pills, he helped me to my room and told me to rest. "You really think your stomach can handle that much food? Don't eat like that next time. If you like it that much, I'll take you again." Well, who could argue with that? I nodded happily. After fussing over me like a father for a while, Jason finally left. I lay under the blanket, a faint melancholy creeping over me. How could he be so kind? Was he this good to everyone? I stayed home quietly for 2 days. By evening, the sunset tangled itself with the clouds outside my window. Remembering Jason's advice, I decided to take a walk. I slipped on some slippers, threw on a light jacket, and headed out. I found myself back at the gazebo, the place where Jason had appeared like a god just days ago. It would have been perfect if we lived in the same complex. I could take walks every day and just happen to run into him. Now, I wanted to see him, but had no excuse. As I turned the corner, I heard a few barks, mournful ones, almost matching my mood. I walked forward and spotted a fluffy white dog with a familiar green collar. Buddy. I ran over excitedly, looking around, but Jason was nowhere to be seen. Where's your owner? I squatted down and rubbed his head. Woof! What are you doing here all alone? Woof! Woof! Buddy tilted his head toward a patch of bushes and barked again. No way Jason couldn't be in there. Could he? I stepped closer and called softly. Jason? No answer. I leaned in for a better look, and holy crap. A black dog was on top of a golden retriever, trying to, well, let's just say, it was R-rated. I hurried back to Buddy, remembering Jason had said Buddy had a friend in this neighborhood. Buddy, that golden retriever's your friend? Woof, he barked once. You like her? Woof, woof, Buddy wagged his tail, looking pitiful, his green collar glinting. Buddy, stay here. I'll chase that black mutt off. Woof! I crept to the other side of the bushes, grabbed a stick, and tossed it in. The dogs inside yelped in fright, and the black one bolted out like lightning. What a coward. Buddy, on the other hand, was loyal, just like his owner. He rushed over to the golden retriever, pawing gently, as if to comfort her. I stayed close, making sure he didn't get lost. When the retriever's owner finally came to take her away, Buddy trotted back to me, tail wagging, eyes warm and trusting. Huh, looks like I'd won him over. I looked down at him, an idea sparking. Buddy, how about I take you home? Woof! He panted happily, leading me all the way into the next complex. We walked in circles, but he didn't stop at any building. I finally held him back, confused. Do you even remember where you live? He ignored me, wandering off stubbornly. I started to think he just didn't want to go home. I pulled out my phone and messaged Jason. I ran into Buddy in my neighborhood. I brought him to yours, but I don't know which building you're in. Building 26. I'll come get you. I followed Buddy around until we reached Building 26, just as Jason stepped out of the entryway. He was wearing a gray loungewear set and slippers. Loose silk pajamas shouldn't look good on anyone, but somehow, he made them look tailored. This man should honestly model for a living. Thanks, Belle. He took the leash and explained. My mum took Buddy out for a walk, and I guess he wandered off into your neighborhood. Haha, no problem. No problem, I said, waving it off. Want to come up for a bit? His tone was open, innocent. I wanted to say yes so badly, but decided to play it cool. Before I could answer, Buddy grabbed my nightdress hem and started dragging me inside. Buddy, what are you doing? Jason looked puzzled. Just days ago, this dog had bared its teeth at me. Now it was pulling me into the house. I glanced down at Buddy's round eyes. We both knew what was going on here. In the elevator, the space felt suddenly tight. Standing beside Jason, I caught a faint trace of his scent, clean, subtle, intoxicating. I risked a glance at his neck. Warm skin, a faint vein visible, a sharp Adam's apple, and a small mole beside it. I wanted to lean in and breathe him in. Ding! The elevator chimed, shattering my daydream. I slipped off my shoes and stepped into his apartment. Have some water, Jason said. Going to fetch a glass. I was about to say no, but suddenly my throat felt dry. I wandered through the living room, stopping in front of a glass cabinet filled with photos of him from childhood to adulthood. A whole row of him in uniform. I bent closer and spotted pictures of a chubby little boy. Is this you when you were little? I asked. pointing at the photo as Jason came to stand beside me. Yeah, doesn't really look like me, does it? It didn't, but something about that face rang a bell. I straightened up and turned my head only to meet Jason's narrowed eyes, dark and searching. Pretty cute, I said quickly, though not as handsome as now. There's fruit on the table. Have some. Okay. We sat in the living room watching a variety show, chatting casually. Buddy lay curled at my feet. For some reason, a warm sense of peace and happiness filled me. Just as I was starting to think I could stay here forever, my mum called. Hey, Mum. Where are you? Her tone was rushed. I'm outside. Come home now. Okay. I didn't know what was wrong, but I quickly stood and the sudden movement sent my vision spinning from low blood sugar. I reached out for support, but a strong, warm hand caught my waist. You okay? As my vision cleared, Jason's concerned eyes came into focus. I'm fine. Then I realized how close we were. I lifted my arm to step back, but my foot slipped, and I tumbled forward, knocking him onto the sofa. My hand landed squarely on his chest. His breathing quickened, and his warm breath brushed against my cheek, soft and ticklish. I needed to ask what cologne he used, because if it didn't have alcohol, how else was I getting this dizzy? My mind went blank, and before I knew it, I'd squeezed his chest twice. Jason's pupils dilated sharply. Crap. There went my image. I shot up from the sofa, grabbed my coat, and bolted. My mum, emergency. Gotta go. I dove into the elevator, mashing the button repeatedly, then caught sight of my reflection. My hair was a mess, my cheeks flushed, my clothes wrinkled. Great. I straightened my coat, smoothed my hair, and slapped my hot face a few times. Then I sprinted all the way home. Mum, what's going on? I gasped, seeing her sitting on the sofa, looking troubled. Lost at Mahjong? No. I won 5 rounds straight, she sighed. Then why the long face? Winning felt worse than losing. Guess who was sitting across from me today? Jason's mom. What? I didn't realize at first. My luck was hot, and I was bragging about having such a great son-in-law. Then it hit me. She's the one who always calls her son Smith. How was I supposed to know that was our Jason? Mom took a sip of water, looking like she might cry. After she left, the other ladies told me her son's a retired soldier too. I got curious and asked his name. Turns out it's Jason. Oh no. My mom had just managed to offend my future mother-in-law. And then I remembered. Smith was the kid who hit you in the head with a toy when you were little. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. I dropped onto the sofa, trembling as I gulped down some cold water. No wonder that childhood photo had looked so familiar. My mom wasn't entirely wrong, but she wasn't right either. Jason really was that same Smith from my childhood. But he wasn't the one who hit me on the head. That was all on me. I was a bratty, unreasonable little tyrant in our neighborhood. When 10-year-old Jason somehow wandered over to our playground, I, as the self-proclaimed landlord, naturally had to deal with the intruder. But he turned out to be a sweet kid, and after a while, we got along. When other kids picked on him, I'd even jump in to defend him. The chubby boy soon followed me around everywhere, completely loyal even though I was 3 years younger. One sunny afternoon, we were playing at the neighborhood park. There were some exercise machines, including one with a footplate that swung back and forth. I don't know what possessed me, but I crouched behind it and told the chubby boy to squat on the other side. I said I'd lift the plate and let it swing to see who it would hit first. I was dumb, he wasn't. He stood up, ready to pull me away, but I had already let go. The next second, thunk! A sharp pain exploded on my forehead. I flew backward, touched my head, and my hand came away bloody. The poor boy stood there, frozen in shock. Soon a crowd gathered, and my mom came running. I was terrified if she found out I'd done it to myself. My butt would be next after my head. So, without thinking, I blurted out that the chubby boy had accidentally hit me and begged her not to be mad at him. My furious mother dragged me to the hospital, where I got a few stitches. I still have a faint pink scar on my forehead. She didn't go after the boy afterward, and he even sneaked over later to check on me. But soon, I started school and wasn't allowed out to play anymore. Never in a million years did I think that sweet scapegoat would turn out to be Jason. I was mortified. To make things worse, my mum had won money from my future mother-in-law at mahjong. No, scratch that former future mother-in-law now. I stayed home repenting for days. Just when I'd finally earned Buddy's affection, I'd probably ruined everything. I dragged myself out of bed for breakfast, only to find Mum looking just as dejected. "Mum, what's wrong?" I bit into my bread. Turns out deliberately losing at mahjong is harder than winning. "Huh? What are you doing?" "Playing with Aunt Anna, of course. I've been purposely losing to her for 2 days straight." Mum sighed dramatically. "But she's such a terrible player. Won't she get suspicious if you keep losing?" "Of course not. I make sure to act super frustrated. She even invited me to play again tonight." I twitched an eyebrow. "Mum, that's a bit much." "Too much? How else are we supposed to build a good relationship with your future in-laws?" "So you're still going tonight?" I gave her a sympathetic look. "Of course. Why wouldn't I?" She downed her milk with renewed fighting spirit. "Oh, by the way, your dad's coming back this afternoon. Go pick him up." "Okay." Around 4, Dad texted that his train was almost in, so I grabbed my things and headed out. At the station, I spotted Dad strolling along, chatting and laughing with another man, not the least bit concerned that I'd been waiting ages. "Dad!" I waved. He looked up, saw me, then turned back to his companion, saying something and pointing my way. The two of them walked over. Dad patted my shoulder. "Belle, say hi to your uncle." I obediently smiled. "Hello, Uncle." "Pretty girl," the man said kindly. I was just about to ask something when a painfully familiar voice sounded nearby. "Dad." The man waved towards someone behind me. I turned stiffly. Jason was walking up, smiling like he had every reason to. "Ah, so this is your son. You can tell he's been in the army," Dad said, clapping Jason on the shoulder. Before I could process any of it, I was already being herded into Jason's car with all of them. Then it clicked. Dad's company had arranged a trip to Xinjiang, where he'd met Mr. Smith by chance. They'd started talking, realized their accents matched, and surprise turned out to be from the same hometown, even living in neighboring communities. Naturally, they hit it off. "Just call me Jason, Uncle," Jason said politely. Dad blinked. "Jason? Wait, Belle, isn't that the retired soldier your mum said was your boyfriend?" I shut my eyes in despair. A line from a song echoed in my head. "One wrong step, and every step after's a mistake." "Really? Jason, why didn't you mention it?" "Mr. Smith looked shocked." Jason smiled, half exasperated, half sincere. "Yes, Dad. Belle and I are together. I told Mum yesterday, we just hadn't told you yet." "That's wonderful." Mr. Smith was overjoyed, grabbing my dad's hand. "Jack, looks like we're going to be in-laws." Kill me now. I couldn't even look at Jason's face. When we got back to the complex, Dad insisted on inviting Mr. Smith upstairs for tea. Jason stopped me and asked me to take a walk with him instead. I followed, feeling awkward. "Why didn't you answer my messages?" he asked, the moment we were alone. I fidgeted. Because you found out I'm the Smith from back then?" I froze. Could he read minds? I was scared of my mum, so I blamed you back then. I'm really sorry. You don't need to apologize. It was nothing. He suddenly reached up and ruffled my hair. My breath caught. My heart pounded wildly. "Did your mum scold you afterward?" "Nah. She hit me. Said I should never bully girls." "What?" I looked up into his gentle eyes. "That's how I recognized you at the station," he said softly. "Your voice hasn't changed much, and that faint scar on your forehead. Then why didn't you say something? Why play along with me?" I twisted my fingers, confused. "Because it was more fun that way. It's the first time I've ever seen the bossy Isabel begging for help." His gaze glimmered with mischief as he leaned closer. "So, will you be my girlfriend?" "Be your?" My brain went completely blank. Before I knew it, his lips brushed mine, warm and deliberate. His husky voice murmured against my ear. "You can't back out now. You kidnapped me that day, so you're responsible. Otherwise, the organization won't let you off." Dazed, I let him take my hand and lead me upstairs. Just as we reached the landing, Dad was seeing Mr. Smith out. "Jack, don't bother walking me out. Tomorrow we'll have dinner together, both families." "Of course. I'll make a reservation." "Good. See you then. Take care, Mr. Smith." "Sure thing." Jason gave my arm a light squeeze and left with his dad. I turned to go home, only to find Dad had shut the door behind him. "Dad, open up!" I knocked. "Oh, shoot. I forgot you were still out there. Thought you left with them." He scratched his thinning hair. "Great. Not even married yet, and already locked out." A moment later, Mum rushed in. "Jack, you met Jason's father?" She plopped down beside him, eyes shining. "Yeah." Dad sipped his tea calmly. "I asked you a question." She smacked his shoulder. "Cough, hey, don't rush me. We're all having dinner tomorrow," he said, wiping the tea he'd spit. "So it's happening then." Mum beamed, laughing as she headed to her room. She completely ignored me standing there. From inside, I could hear her calling her friends, bragging. "My Belle finally got herself a man." My mouth twitched. Why did that sound like she was auctioning me off? Exhausted, I grabbed a towel and hit the shower. Lying in bed afterward, everything felt surreal. I'd gone to the train station and come back with a boyfriend. Even novels wouldn't dare write something this absurd. My phone buzzed Jason's message. "What are you doing?" "Spacing out." He sent a goofy emoji. "Feels unreal, huh?" "Yeah." "Then do you want to come down and see the real me?" I shot up, yanked open the curtains, and spotted a small figure below, but I knew instantly it was him. I slipped on my slippers, dashed to the elevator, and nearly flew downstairs. But just before stepping out, I slowed, suddenly shy. Jason walked toward me, hands in pockets, long strides, easy and sure, and pulled me into his arms. "What's wrong? Getting shy now?" "Where was this shyness at the station?" He chuckled low, teasing. My face burned hotter by the second. "If I'd known, I wouldn't have come down," I mumbled. "What are you doing here anyway?" We'd just seen each other that afternoon. "Didn't want you to feel overwhelmed." His gentle gaze melted something inside me. "And I missed you." His lashes dipped, shadows flickering under his eyes, tiny stars glowing in his gaze. And just like that, my heart betrayed me again. I shoved him lightly, pretending calm. "You're so not serious." "Then, I'll be serious from now on." "Oh, liar." "I'm not." "All right," he said, pinching my earlobe. "Go upstairs before your parents start worrying." "Okay." I nodded obediently. "Why do you sound so reluctant?" He squeezed my cheek. "I'm not." "I get it now." "Get what?" I looked up, and his handsome face suddenly filled my vision as his scent flooded my nose. He pulled back, eyes darkening. "Go on up. We'll have plenty of chances later." Damn this man's tenderness. I ran upstairs, face burning, grateful my parents were in their room. A month later, we got married. Mum was arm in arm with Aunt Anna, thick as thieves. "Mum, when did you get so close to Aunt Anna?" I whispered. "During the Great Mahjong War," she muttered through gritted teeth. "You've no idea how much money I lost." I burst out laughing. Poor Mum, she'd sacrificed plenty for me. I glanced at Jason, immaculate in his tailored suit, and my heart swelled with happiness. I think Mum was happy too, after all. Jason had truly become her son-in-law. There was a small mishap at the wedding. My veil wasn't secured properly and got blown away by the stage fan. I panicked until a blur of white dashed out. Moments later, Buddy trotted back, veil in his mouth, tail wagging, sending the whole room into laughter. Jason took it from him and fixed it back onto my hair. Holding my hand, he slipped the diamond ring onto my finger. "Belle, do you?" "I do," I choked out, tears in my eyes. That night, back at our new home, I shed the heavy gown, showered, and changed into my pajamas. When I came out, Jason was sprawled on the bed, drunk. Seriously? My wedding night's over already? I sighed dramatically. I was just about to help him out of his jacket when he suddenly pulled me down, flipping me beneath him. His eyes were open, hazy with wine. Who said I'm drunk? Don't underestimate your husband. I turned my head away from his warm, intoxicating breath. Want me to prove it? Before I could respond, he'd already torn off my pajamas. Jason, you jerk. One day later, I was sitting on Jason's lap, nibbling grapes, mumbling, what if that day at the station, someone else had turned around when I yelled husband? I doubt anyone else would have been stupid enough to follow you home. He drawled, half reclined on the sofa, eyes lazy. I swatted him. Then what if someone else had taken you home instead? That's even less likely, he said with a grin. Because only you would ever pull something like that. Isabel, you're the most special one, and you always will be.